On this week's Glanbia Ireland Dairy Focus Vodcast, we'll talk about grassland management in the ongoing soil moisture deficits being experienced across the region. We'll have Joris Somers, our Glanbia Ireland vet, to talk about lameness within the herd, and we'll also hear about the upcoming open source Future Farm virtual farm walk. We'll now hear from Joris Somers, our Glanbia Ireland vet.
One of the problems is that 2/3 of lame cows go unnoticed in the herd. And probably because of this perception of low levels of lameness in the herd, lameness is not perceived as a herd health priority. However, the impact of lameness on herd productivity is not to be understated. And lameness is associated with signs of chronic stress in affected cows. The cost of lameness has been estimated around €290 per cow. And this cost is derived from the actual cost of the treatment, the drugs, but also the fees for the vet or the foot trimmer to come and tend to the animal. It's the cost of waste milk because the animal is under treatment, and also of premature culling of lame cows. But the biggest costs of lameness are really a reduction in milk production and lower fertility. In the table on my left hand side here, you can see that a cow that becomes lame in the first month of her lactation will lose around 175 kilograms of milk production that lactation. If she becomes a severe case of lameness, if she becomes severely lame in the first month of lactation, she will actually lose 350 kilograms of milk production. For cows going lame in the fourth month of lactation, the figures are slightly different, and they will lose about 50 kilograms of milk in case of a lame cow, or about 100 kilograms of milk production will be lost for a severe lame cow. Becoming lame is only one half of the equation though. The length of time that a cow remains lame has a huge impact on her productivity. So in this table now, we can look at a cow that becomes lame in the first month of her lactation. So you can see 175 kilograms lost in case of a lame cow, or 350 kilograms lost for a severely lame cow. And then we will look at what the effect is depending on how long that cow remains lame. So if that cow was to remain lame for 4 months, she would actually lose 475 kilograms of milk production. Or if she was a severely lame cow, she would actually lose nearly twice that, 900 kilograms of milk production lost that lactation. When it comes to fertility, the loss is probably not that clear cut, but it focuses around a delayed start of breeding, lame cows being less likely to stand to be mounted, so less heat detection, lower submission rates, but also lower conception rates, which then requires more serves per pregnancy. All in all, it adds up to extended calving intervals in the herd. Research from UCD has produced this graph here, and that really shows us that lame cows have about a 10% higher empty rate at the end of the breeding season compared to non-lame cows. And the same research showed that lame cows that do go in calf are much slower in doing so compared to their non-lame herdmates.
According to Pasture Base Ireland data from the past 7 days on those herds that are monitoring grass growth currently, there's still a large variation of growth rates occurring across the region, dependent on soil moisture deficits or rainfall received, land type and stocking density. At the moment, if we look at average figures, the average growth rate for Leinster stands at 51 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day, with the average growth rate in Munster being 66 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day. Within those regions, we're seeing a huge variation in growth from anything from 20 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day to in excess of 70 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day. However, even though some areas received a little rainfall over the past number of days, it's still a long way from where we should be in regards to soil moisture deficits, and we're seeing soil moisture deficits ranging from 60 to in excess of 80 millimetres in those more severely affected areas. For farms that are only starting to experience the decline in growth at the moment, the advice is to make a plan early. Early intervention will leave you with more options available on the farm to fill the gap or deficit occurring, and obviously try and curb the economic effect that it's having on the farm. And then for the farms that are experiencing that soil moisture deficit for a longer period of time now, and they're moving more into severe deficits and gaps, it's important that you have the correct plan in place for the farm and the farm setup itself, and implementing it as best as possible at the moment. At this point, most farms being affected by that decline in growth over the last number of weeks and that soil moisture deficit becoming more severe have brought back in extra area into the grazing platform in the form of silage ground, and have reduced or removed the amount of surplus stock on the platform in order to decrease their demand. However, if demand is still exceeding growth, that deficit or gap will have to be filled in the form of fodder or a buffer feed or parlour concentrates. The key messages at the moment is to hold the rotation length to the target of 24 to 25 days and avoid the circumstance where average farm cover falls below 500 kilos of dry matter per hectare mark.
My name is John Murphy and I'm a Farm Development Manager with Glanbia Ireland. This week I want to talk to you about our open source Future Farm programme. In the past 2 weeks, across our 11 future farms across the Glanbia region, we've seen a wide variation in weather. Our farms in Munster have had excellent growth rates of up to 70 kilograms of dry matter per hectare, while our farms in Leinster are experiencing the onset of a severe drought, with growth rates as low as 20 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. We're working with these farms to establish practices to offset the effects of this drought by introducing supplementary feed to the herd. Richie O'Brien from Teagasc has been working hard since the establishment of the programme last September to set up baselines for each of our 11 farms. These baselines will guide us to establish a farm development plan for each farm. On each farm already there has been 100% use of low emission slurry spreading and 100% use of protected urea. This will help to reduce emissions and help guide our wider supply base in an effort to reduce emissions on all Glanbia herds. Aoife Leader from Teagasc has begun a biodiversity project. This biodiversity project is aimed at establishing a baseline. Our mantra for this project is to measure, manage and enhance. The baseline data for each of our 11 farms on biodiversity has now been completed. This will help us find out what is the best way to enhance biodiversity across all farms in the Glanbia region. Due to the current restrictions caused by COVID-19, all our introductory farm walks so far this year have been postponed. However, we have continued to disseminate information through our online channels, and we continue this work this week with a webinar and virtual farm walk on the farm of Tom and David Fennelly in Portarlington in County Laois. Our webinar begins at 10:30 on Thursday the 11th, followed by a virtual farm walk which will be streamed through Teagasc Instagram and Twitter pages. Thomas and David are milking 200 cows and carrying 70 replacement units on their farm outside Portarlington, County Laois. They have been experiencing the onset of this drought over the past 2 weeks, and growth rate has reduced to 20 kilograms of dry matter per hectare. To reduce demand to 27 kilograms of dry matter per hectare of grazed grass, the Fennellys have introduced 6 kgs of concentrate and 6 kgs of grass silage. Please join us on Thursday the 11th of June from 10:30 a.m. and follow our virtual farm walk on Teagasc Instagram and Teagasc Twitter.
For more information or for tailored advice on your farm scenario at home, contact your local Glanbia representative or log on to glanbiaconnect.com.